Welcome to the Jen Cares Powered by Chosen Live podcast, a podcast that brings the community to you. Each week, we feature a guest that will help us stay in the know. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, here's your host, Jen Cares.
Well, good evening and welcome to Jen Cares Powered by Chosen Counselors, where we bring the community to you. I am your host, Jen Cares, and the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. As always, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, for liking, for sharing, for coming back again. I truly, truly do appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say special thanks to Amina Maybank for joining us last week for our S to the Third Power. It was such a good episode. You be sure to pick up that book as well as her newest book, Wholeness, which is available now. So good. I want to say happy Mother's Day to all mothers. It was a bittersweet day for me, but I hope that you found some joy in it. You know, not having a mama around, it could stink a little bit. It could sting a little bit, but I am grateful for her life, and that's what I celebrated in my own way. Being lazy, minding my business at the church. Thank God I made it through. But I hope that you had an amazing day celebrating your mamas. And guess what? Hold on to them, because when they're gone, it's a feeling like none other. And please know we are not taking any more members in that club, okay? But happy Mother's Day to all mothers. As we have entered a new month and our theme is Help a Sister Out, the sister is me. Can you help me, please? Every year as my birthday comes, I work to evaluate my life. And tonight, my year in review continues. See, I reflect on my highs, I reflect on my lows, I reflect on my wins, I reflect on my lessons learned, and I even take a moment to reflect on tonight's topic. Jennifer, do you want to get married? Do you want to have children? Are you ready to be married? Are you ready to have children? Things that make you go, I think on these things. I also reflect on better comebacks because me responding, ask Jesus seems to not work anymore when someone asks, are you talking to anyone? Do you want to have children? Are you sure you want to explore that without having a mate? Have you tried a dating app? Now, I actually have tried a dating app. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me, but if it's for you, God bless. Another question is, are you putting yourself out there? Are you going out? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you? The list goes on. And when I say ask Jesus, they think I'm being deep. But guess what? I don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. All I could do is, as we talked about last year, is prepare myself, right? But this is what I think about when I reflect on this new year of life. This is just me. I'm taking you guys on my journey. And tonight I'm going to get some good nuggets of wisdom from someone that I have admired from afar. I met this amazing couple when I lived in Maryland some years ago, and they're the Warrens. And it's so funny. They can dress, they can travel, and they seem well balanced. And the well-balanced part is what I want to talk about tonight. Why? Because that didn't happen overnight. So I want to get some nuggets of wisdom from them, how they make it work, lessons learned, some things that I need to evaluate as I'm evaluating if it's something that I want to consider. So help me welcome the amazing Warrens, Mr. Gary and Mrs. Anna Marie Warren. Woo! Yay! Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Here we are.
Somebody's starting already. My sister on here, are you getting married? Tracy, mind your business. I don't know. Ask Jesus, right? They starting already. They ain't right. How are y'all doing tonight, though?
Oh, we're blessed. We're doing great.
Awesome. Now, didn't I tell you like the dress? It's funny because before they came on, I was like, y'all dressed alike because I be knowing they be color coordinated and be fly. You heard me? If you ever see them, they fly head to toe, head to toe. So good to see you both. I'm so glad that you're doing all right. We're going to get it started. We always start with a quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is, "Assumptions are the termites of relationships," by Henry Winkler. Again, assumptions are the termites of relationships. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, making assumptions, you know what they say about the word assume. So, it's best not to make assumptions. Yes, that can eat away at a relationship, if because you're only assuming, you don't really know for sure. So,
What do you say, Mr. Gary?
I would say that you should really never assume.
Mm.
I found that to be the root of a lot of what's the word? When you assume like that, most of the time you're getting it wrong. You should always communicate, and then that takes the assumption out of the relationship, which is very important.
Yes. Friends, we gotta be careful because that one could get us in trouble. And termites, that means it's messing it up and picking it and
oh,
picking
yes, picking it to pieces. Yes.
it. So that, friends, I have prepared some questions, but if you have any questions or thoughts, be sure to drop them below so we can bring them on up. Okay? So let's talk about that. With the assumptions, communication is probably a piece of that, huh?
Communication is the number one key. We're not mind readers, and we have to communicate about basically almost everything. No matter the length of your relationship, you should have communication with your partner, just to see where they stand on different things,
Yes.
And that's kind of what we try to do and have tried to do over the years.
Yes. So how many years have you been together?
Well, we've been married for 24 years. We got married on February 14th. So that's an easy way to remember our anniversary. So this February was 24 years.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, has it always been easy for communication in those 24 years?
Well, for me, I'd say it took work, sometimes some of us, we tend to think we know what the other one is thinking, but it's best to talk about it because things aren't always what they seem, and in the 24 years, I think we've grown by talking more and sharing our feelings with each other. And as you age, you begin to feel, things that maybe in the past didn't, you didn't take so to heart. You begin to, maybe dwell on them a little bit longer.
Yes. Come on, Mr. Wisdom.
Well, what I found out is that just the thought of assuming, if you don't have the trust, most of your arguments or disagreements will come from assuming. It's very important that you trust each other enough that you don't have to assume. This is what wisdom brings. This is what wisdom brings to the table. A lot of assumptions come from, I would say, a lot of young people that don't trust. Well, I know you've heard it before. Oh, I bet you've heard that before. So trust eliminates assuming, and it should. And if it's not when you're young, you should grow into it because it'll save you a whole bunch of time of not talking.
That's good because communication is very important. But you also said another word that's talked about was not talked about, and that's trust. What does that look like? What does it feel like? Because if trust is not there,
You're
it
gonna
has some.
yes.
Yeah.
You go to the assumptions, go to the assuming
Immediately.
But you also have to remember, trust is something that's earned, and when trust is defied, it takes a long time to regain that again. And that in anything, and marriage is no different.
Right.
So That's where prayer and God comes into play. Which He's there anyway. But just asking the Holy Spirit to, remove things that shouldn't be, and keeping your mind open.
Yes.
And it does, to eliminate the assumption, it does take prayer to trust.
Yes.
You can't go through life without trusting somebody. Everybody wants to know that they're cared for. So therefore, you're not going to believe that you're cared for unless you believe that the person that you're with is trustworthy. Makes sense?
It does. That's good. Crystal said, once trust is broken, it's hard to build back.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was talking to someone this weekend. I met my niece just introduced us to her boyfriend. And I said, well, okay, how long y'all been talking? And they said, about a year or so. I said, oh, we're just meeting you. I said, the part that I appreciate is this. You grew to know each other before bringing other people into it. Because a part of trust is really knowing that person, to have belief and faith in that person, to know that if this sounds like that person, if it doesn't sound like that person, or you communicate in those things. Because so many times people bring somebody in, or people are around when it's such an infant of their relationship, and that can mess up. We're like, wait, did they do that? Did they not do that? Because they'll put little doubts and thoughts in your head. How important is that for you to build the trust amongst yourselves before allowing other people to come into your circle?
Important. Jennifer, I guess because my husband and I both had previous marriages. And so this being the second marriage for both of us. So we learned a lot through our first. Okay. So coming together and having people in our circle, it's those that we at this point choose to kind of have there.
Okay.
I guess you could say the people around us, we do trust them, and we have no reason really not to.
And what I think you're speaking of is when you bring people into your circle, you make sure that the people that you're bringing into your circle are family first. Because sometimes when you bring outsiders into your circle, they're I know you didn't speak on exactly which you were speaking on, but when you bring outsiders into your circle, you never know the intent of somebody that's coming into your circle, whether they're there for your good or whether they're there to have your goods. And that is very important that you know that when you allow outsiders to come into your circle. And like my wife just stated, that the wisdom that we've already brought into the marriage from prior marriages already has us thinking like this, that, okay, we have to share our wisdom with one another first.
Right.
That way we can trust each other. If we don't share our wisdom, now we're both assuming what the other. Now you're causing an enemy to come in. Make sense?
And we don't want them kind of enemies, because that
no. And you have to be careful, just like my husband said. And because we have had a little experience, as a young person, which would be a first-time marriage, and you have to be careful because, as you know, the enemy is always lurking. And he will do whatever to try to, steal the show from God. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So you being a woman of God, I'm going to tell you what's a blessing is marrying someone that is rooted and grounded in the word. That's very, very important.
Got it.
And that helps your relationship, That helps your relationship.
Oh, so I have a couple of myths that I found. I want to talk about what you think on these. So one says happy couples do not argue. Is that true? Not true?
It's a difference between arguing and disagreeing. Some people would take a disagreement as an argument, but that's only how far you take it.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yes.
Now, which one do you want me to address? The argue or the disagreement? Because they're two different things. You know,
yes.
I can say, honey, I do not like that right there. If I continue to harp on it, it's going to turn into an argument.
Yeah.
But we can agree to disagree with wisdom. You with me?
Yes, yes.
And, you know, we've kind of learned over the years, I think we both have, when to stop short of the argument, because in your mind, you pick and choose your battles. And sometimes you think,
stop the disagreement, not the argument.
Well,
we stop it before it gets to an
argument. Before it gets, that's what I mean. Before it gets to an argument, you know, you're like, is that, you know.
And Jennifer, to encourage you as a young person, you need to know that wisdom brings that into the relationship. It may not be there right away. But wisdom will bring that into relationship, because stress can hurt your health. Yeah. And that has a lot to do with the disagreement, with the argument, with the assuming, all of that. So I'm saying, once you find that one, that you do not think that that is going to be there right off the bat, because most likely it will not. Because most people want to be right more than happy.
Right.
Understood?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
And you know, for your question about happy couples, you know, most of the time, or I feel, and I agree with my husband, in a disagreement, you don't have to be unhappy. It's just that you might just not see it that person's way, and you disagree with what they're saying. It's not a feeling, you know. I think by the time it gets to an argument, now you've got not that happy camper. You're so wound up. But I think just disagreeing about something doesn't take away your happiness. And that's something else that's learned, you know, that and comes with wisdom, as Gary said.
Good wisdom, good wisdom. So this one said, when you marry someone, they will fix their flaws. Or they will fix your flaws, I guess they were trying to say.
No. You know, we're individual people.
You are who you are.
You are. That's right. And nobody is perfect. And know this one thing. You can't change nobody but yourself. The Holy Spirit, and knowing who God is and allowing him, much prayer, you know, and everybody has a flaw. There's always something little, you know, like I said, you pick and choose your battles, you know. You've heard, I'm sure, lots of married couples talk about leaving the toilet seat up, or not putting the toilet paper on the roll, or the roll on the holder the way you want it. You know, hey, my solution, just put the darn thing down. You want to use it. You know, do you really have to, you know, argue? Is it that much? That's like a little pet peeve, you know. And the toilet paper, I like it a certain way. And if I don't put it on there and Gary puts it another way, I just change it. And I'm happy and keep it moving. And, you know, I don't have to say anything. You know, those little, you learn to pick and choose your battles, you know. And as you get older, you think, is that worth even saying something, you know?
And that's the big part right there. Learning to pick your battles, and like, it's not that big. You just fix it how you like it and let it go on. At least he brought it in there, you know. You didn't go in there, it was none there.
There you go. And what really gets me is not filling up the dispenser and getting there. And I'm like, oh, but hey, Gary, I just called for him, you know, and it doesn't happen that often because I try to keep it, you know, filled up. And
got it.
Then I can say, in that case, refer back to A. Would you rather be right or happy?
Or happy?
You're going to hear that a lot throughout this evening.
Gotcha. Because we pick and choose our battles. That's not a battle we got to worry about.
Yes.
You can just call him, he'll bring you some soap. Call him, bring some tissue, whatever you need, or vice versa. You call him.
Yes.
Got it. So this is interesting. I was on a podcast not so long ago. And when we were talking about relationships and marriage, I was like, work. And the guys was like offended that I said work. But I was saying it takes work because if you want to be with somebody, this somebody said effort. I said, okay, if you like effort better, let's use effort. They didn't like work. It was like I was cussing or something. It takes effort where you have to put in something to get something back. I think they thought, or in the conversation, I was trying to express that it's not a smooth sell all the time. You got to roll your side of the boat. They got to roll their side of the boat. So marriage is work. Is it a myth? Is it the truth? What say ye?
Well, I say it is. But it's not work in the sense to me, a job that has, some people associate work with like punching the clock. It's your life, and it's going to be what you make it. And you work together, walk together, with your spouse. And like I told you before, marrying a man of God, someone, it's to me an easier walk, because he's truly rooted in the word. And, so our journey together, it is together and we do, work at it, but it doesn't seem like work now because we've been in it together for so long. You have to get used to the person, to their, ideals, to their habits, and what I learned a while ago, I used to say sometimes, oh, that man gets on my nerves. But you know what? The Holy Spirit let me know. What do you think you do to him? Well, the guy, you're just vocally saying it. He's probably thinking it. Whereas, men sometimes aren't as vocal as we women. He's probably thinking the same time, oh my goodness, won't she? But we tend. And then I learned to stop saying that. Just, I'm like, I think about it and pray about it and then keep it moving.
I'll tell you this, Jennifer, right now. It is more work for the man than it is for the woman. Now, I'm going to tell you the reason why I say that is because he that finds himself a wife finds a good thing. Stay with me. I'm about to bless you. He that finds himself a wife finds a good thing. Now, coming in as the head of the household, coming in as the head of the house, you have to realize how sensitive your wife is. You have to realize how sensitive, ladies are. So therefore, I can't come off to her like I would come off to my brother or my cousin is who's a guy. So with all of that being said, I'm saying all of that to say this. It's one thing that I have learned, that I would rather be happy than be right. Refer back to A.
Refer back to A.
You have to, and see, this comes with that age and wisdom. They coincide. So when we say wisdom, we're saying age. You learn this. Because you can have some young guy come in a relationship and say, I ain't going to be used. I'm not going to, nobody going to tell me this and tell me that. But I'm going to tell you something. You learn this because once you're both are under the same roof, you pray for peace in your mind, in your heart, and to God Almighty. You pray for peace. That's what is important. So that is, from a man's point of view, that takes work. And then once you realize that now you've understood that you have put her first, then it takes the work out of it. Because now it comes natural.
I love that. It also speaks to the love and care and concern that you have, where I don't want to talk to her any kind of way. I see that it may affect her feelings. I see I could have said that dad, that son get, cut sometimes. I'm being more intentional with my words. Like with the guys, I could do this, but with my wife, it's a little different. That's wisdom. That's growth.
Jennifer, that works both ways.
Absolutely.
Women as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely heard that when he was saying of how, you don't have to be right all the time and know when to speak, when not to speak. And I think sometimes romantic relationships and regular relationships, all type of relationships, sometimes learning really when to be quiet, when to speak up, when to hold it in. Because we don't have to speak on everything.
That's right.
And it's about, if you want to win or if you want to be able to get along, picking that battle.
Yeah. That's true.
Because if you feel like you winning and they're over there crying and heartbroken and sad,
you haven't done nothing.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a good one. This is another one. It says having kids can save a troubled marriage.
I believe it. Now, and when you say having kids can save a troubled marriage, most likely you are talking about you and your husband having children.
Mm-hmm.
Then that I can agree with.
Marriage already, it's troubled already, and then we're gonna have a kid.
Yeah, because now you have a reason now, and keep in mind now, I'm only speculating on this issue because I brought children in, she brought children in.
We didn't have
but we can because of the wisdom in our age, we know that if you're having problems in your marriage before you decide to have a child or after you have a child, if that child is there, you have to work even harder now. And to work harder, if you want that child to grow up with a mother and a father, then you need to understand that and work towards that. So if it was troubled, if the storm was raging, now you got to bring that rage down because you don't want your children to see that. So I would say, yes, they can. I would say, yes, they can. Now, I wouldn't, I'm not saying if you guys are arguing and bickering and fighting prior to having a child together or even getting married, no, don't do it. Because now you see what you're bringing into them. We talked about this a while ago. You can't change anybody. All you can do is pray about it. So no, I'm not saying, oh, if it's rough and it's rough, let's get married and have a baby. No, I am not saying that. But if you're already there, if you already said your I do's, and now a baby is coming and the water was rough, for the child's sake, people have the tendency to do what needs to be done. Because now it's a responsibility there. Changes everything.
But my take on that, both people have to be like-minded.
Yes.
And I don't think, using if the marriage is in trouble, I'm not so sure. I don't think using a child to try to make it better. You've got to have that relationship. And then, I guess there's a little more detail to it. What is causing the trouble in the marriage, and then
remember that the question is not, are you going to have kids to try to save the marriage? The question is, having kids can save a troubled marriage. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with your question.
Okay.
Your question is that having kids, not have a kid because we're troubled. Because it's some conniving people out here in this world that will do that just because. So we have to make sure we're reading what you have there. That having kids can save, not I'm going to have a kid to save my troubled marriage.
I like this because you can read it differently, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And even in both ways, like having kids can save it, but to have a kid to save it is not going to work. Making it totally clear, friends, because people do trap and entangle and all that fun jazz. I don't know how fun it is, but it can cause problems. And bringing a child into the world is a serious business, because then you'll be upset. You look just like your father. You look just like your mother. Then that's a whole nother can of worms that people aren't ready to deal with.
Picking and choosing your battles.
Picking and choosing your battles. That was good. That was good. So you said you've been married 24 years. How did you meet? How did that come about?
Wow. In church, actually, at Cathedral Love.
Yeah.
I, was a widow, and that is when I began my my journey and my life at Cathedral Love. And my husband had been dead for 3 years. And, I was steady going. And at that point, I think I was still grieving. I never thought that I would marry again. And I really didn't know a lot about Gary then. But he invited me one Christmas of December 1996, to go to the movie to see The Preacher's Wife with Denzel and Whitney. And, I went. I had not been out, even socializing, nothing. My mindset was not there, and it still wasn't there. And we went to dinner, and we went to the movie, and went to the movie first and then dinner. And he was such a gentleman, opening my door and just, such a gentleman. And during the meal, we're talking and then just asking questions, about each other. And he asked me the question, do you think you'll ever marry again? And I said, no, I don't think so. My children are grown, and I want to travel, I have my job, and, just telling him, and, he's listening. And then he shared, what was going on in his life. And the funny thing, and I thinking back on it after that, when we left the restaurant, he'd been such a gentleman, opening the doors and holding it and opening the door for me to get in the car, at home. He didn't open the door. I just thought, well, maybe I got here first. And, he did open the door for me of the car at the restaurant. But when I got home, he never opened the door. He pulled up in the yard and, I'll see you in church, in Sunday school the next morning. And, which would have been Sunday morning. And, and I never thought anything of it. And he, we just kind of talked to each other, and just periodically.
I'll help you out, Jennifer, now. I'll pick up the story. Once a woman tells you that they're not going to get married again, sometimes you have to listen to the woman. Now, no, you don't need to be disrespectful or throw a temper tantrum because you're not getting what you want. But sometimes we can, on occasion, accept what is told to us. So at that moment, I accepted what was told to me. But now let me tell you, when fate steps in, you do not have to accept what you are being told. Because just like she's prayed about it, I have prayed about it. Now, like I started this conversation, he who finds himself a wife, a good wife finds a good thing. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Because me believing that I found, like the word told me, I found a good thing. I was persistent. So therefore, my persistence paid off. Because even though She went to the Valentine Delight back there.
I
believe you believe
that.
It was way after. Even though she went to the Valentine Delight, and she was actually there accompanied by somebody else. That did not deter me at all.
No, I think that
persistence. I said when I seen that woman dressed like she was dressed, I'm going over here to tell this woman I want to take a picture with her.
Yes.
The rest is history. Jennifer, you already know he had on red, I had on red. We supposed to be together, girl. Come on, Jen. Oh, you know who I'm talking to.
Is that when it began, y'all? Because again, they could dress, y'all. I told y'all they could dress head to toe. Is that when it started to matching?
That's when it started. I don't have to say no more to you.
Well, Jennifer, and just to clarify, the person I was with was a friend of mine. He was one of my teachers in high school. And that night, Pastor had asked me to read a poem. And I had told my teacher friend about, and I said, I was kind of nervous and I felt I was going to be emotional. Well, he had a book. He loaned me his book, a Maya Angelou book of her readings and poems. And he said, I'll come with you. And I said, okay. And most of the children or the younger adults knew him because he had taught them in school. And like I told Gary, you don't go on a date with someone and still call him Mr. I mean, and that because that's what it felt. He still was Mr. to me, even though I was out of school, been out for years, but he was my friend, and anyway, it triggered something. So here we are.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
Did he have on red?
No, he didn't have on.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. Oh, that's so precious. Yeah. So you shared how, you felt that you had found the one. What was it about her that let you know this is the one?
When I looked at her, girl, I seen her. See, at the church, I'd seen her every Sunday, see?
Yeah.
So I'd always seen, how beautiful she was.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, wow, I wonder, God, is this something that could be, here? Because I feel a certain way here.
Mm-hmm.
And, we just had to, my desire was to know more about this, young lady. And I knew that I had to do it. I wasn't going to wait for her because she, as we already knew.
Yeah.
All right now.
Well, I wasn't looking and I had no idea that somebody was watching me. He could tell me stuff and I'm like, I did that. You saw, he paid attention to me and I had no idea. And, I've always thought that, it was meant to be because it was by the book, by the Bible. He who finds a good wife, because she wasn't looking. And I wasn't there. My mindset, like I said, I believe I was still grieving, somewhat. But he was paying attention and, he wanted, companionship and someone to work with him. And, at that time, his two boys were younger and, whereas my children were older. And, I believe, God just saw fit that I was the one to help him, raise them, help, be his helpmate. And, here we are now. Everybody is grown and on their own and we can go visit them. They have their own little houses and we can go and say, hey, and we can come back home.
Now, two things I want to touch on. Gary, you said about seeking God, and I love that because it's so important, but sometimes it's not done as often as it should be. So like you say, you were seeing her and things of that sort, but then you consulted God, like, God, could it be? Like, what was that process? Because it could have been like, you was like, God, could it be? And it was somebody else and it didn't work out. But the fact that you took that moment to see God, like, amazing. because too often we don't do that, and then we get ourselves in some situations with some people, places, and things that we shouldn't have got ourselves into. So that was great to hear.
Well, the one thing that I can say right off the bat is just having a prayer life and knowing that God answers your prayers. So we can listen to what he's telling us. A lot of times people say, God didn't tell me that, or no, who's speaking? If you have to ask who's speaking to you, then you need to examine your prayer life. You need to examine your Christianity. So I would like to feel under the tutelage of my pastor that when I was praying, God was speaking to me and letting me know point blank that I could have the desires of my heart. And that was my wife that I have right now.
Yes.
And I want you to know this too. This is something else that a lot of people, and you may never hear this again. And I don't want my wife to, sometimes I think that she may, see, here we go, assuming. Sometimes I think that when you give your spouse props on things, you should make it known that, look, this is a compliment. So when she would say, and be concerned about who this guy is next to her, or who this guy that is coming into her life, who is this? And what can you do for me? So when she asked me that, I was honored, for one, because she wouldn't ask me nothing like that if she wasn't considering. But see, this is a compliment for her that she wants to know.
Yes.
My answer was, you may be surprised at the answer, was that I could tell you anything because my grandmother told me that I had the gift of gab. So I could literally say anything, start all of those rhymes and run it all down and all of that. But what I told her is, I could tell you anything, but I would like you to see the life that I have been living, because we've known each other. She has seen me up there in the box. She's seen how I carry myself throughout the church. So therefore, if something in my life you feel that you would love to be or want to be a part of, then that's what I bring to the table.
That's good.
Because let my life speak for me.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, So I'm glad she asked, because she learned something about me that day. And here we are, years later.
Here we are.
It's also amazing because even though it wasn't in her mind, for you to then grab her attention, it caused her to say, oh, wait, let me see what is going on. That caused her to, again, draw that attention to find out, who is this person, because again, she was thinking in her mindset, I'm in grief. I'm grieving, it's not going to work out. It's not going to happen. But he keep coming around. It's almost like she too got to now go like, God.
Oh, yes. And I did. I prayed.
She spoke on the moment.
To him.
See, she was speaking from that moment. That's how she felt. And I honored that at that moment.
Yeah.
But you didn't let her stay there. I love it.
No, he didn't. Here we are.
Yes. Another part you shared, Anna Marie, you said about you wanted to travel. How has that worked out for you since you became a Mrs. Warren?
Awesome. Well, I was traveling beforehand, and now I just have a new partner. My sisters and I, traveled together. And then once Gary and I, at first it was a little rough because in his job, he traveled, he worked away and driving up and down the highway. And, so he kind of was tired of that. But he got over it. We love to cruise, and we do that. And we do road trips. And most of the time, well, he drives as well, but lots of times, I drive. I love to drive. And
what changed there, Jennifer, was
here we go.
Yeah, what changed there is a good thing, is that, and you need to know this, is that we have set in our minds some things that we may or may not want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you love someone and you see what they desire, because I had no desire to travel.
Yeah.
But because my wife had desires to travel, all of a sudden, well, I'm going to do it just to please her.
He does. But I can't get him to go to Alaska with me. But I'm working on it.
That's not to refer back to A. He's talking about not that A, not Alaska, huh? But that's amazing. That part of so the big thing is like, I could change them and things that sort. And it's really not about change. It really is that love, that care and concern that you have for the other person. Yeah. If you see that it means something to them, you're gonna want to do it. If watching that show brings them joy and you doing it with them, you're gonna figure it out. And the next thing you know, you into the show too. But that care and concern that you have causes you to say, what can I do to love on you more?
That's right. And that becomes just a part of you. And you hit the nail on the head. He'll watch, and it's funny you said about watching that show. He'll be watching something that I really don't want to watch. But because he's so into it, I'll come and start. And then before you know it, after I get done answering my question, but thank God for the pause on the TV, because now he'll pause it, bring me up to date, and that's for me to shut up so we can watch the show and then start it. And, and he'll say, you got it now? You understand? I say, oh, yeah, I'm up with you and we'll go on. And it is, when a marriage is about both of you, not just one or the other, or both, we try to be aware of that and keep it in mind, that we have our, I like to call it our individual time, and we have our together time, but our marriage is our all the time. You're all the time married, just because you might see one here, one there, that's something agreed upon, and, and we're living.
Yes.
Yes.
That's good. I'm a joke and say a guy created that remote to pause it, or actually, girl, somebody smart. I'm just saying somebody smart created that remote. Oh, yeah. Always good into something. Somebody always got a question. I got some friends that are like, well, what happened? Let's just say pause and bring them up to speed. You said you was caught up today, but you're not caught up today. It's okay. We're going to get you there. Then we're going to hit play. Or, when you would fast forward through the commercials, you let the commercials play so you can answer all questions.
Yes. He does both. He does both. But we're there. But the whole thing is we're doing it together. It's together time.
Yes. And then how fun is that too, sometimes to be able to teach your spouse something that they didn't know, or to share something with them, and then really being intrigued to want to know. Now the question is, did you go back and watch it the next time?
It is good, because as you grow together, you begin to have these little thoughts in your mind. I'm one up on it, or he, will say something and kind of let me know I'm one up on you, or it kind of, it becomes fun, us learning together. We're older, and the social media and our computer and all that, and we teach each other after we've learned from like our grandchildren, our children, and then we just pass on the little tidbits. Gary is good for watching those tutorials and things, all the different things we can do with our phones and what have you. And then we share with each other whatever we've learned. And it's just good to have that partner,
Yes. So good. So question, did you guys ever go to counseling or premarital counseling? Did y'all have to do that? Did you explore doing that?
I think, did we talk to Pastor?
No.
Pastor knew both of us. And I don't know that we did a counseling. I think she did talk to us like once just before she married us, but it wasn't a counseling sort of thing. I think by her knowing us and kind of knowing our mindsets and then seeing us, watching us, and literally being a part of our life, I think she knew from that, she was actually excited that, we were together.
I think because of her ages.
Yeah.
That we did not require that, because we had already roughed it out somewhere else. And then we brought what we both learned
to the table. together. Yeah.
Another good part was that you did have the outsider that kind of looked in to be able to check in, like, make sure everything was great. Because I mean, if anything was off, we know Pastor Wilson would have been like, "That's
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're so right.
But I appreciate, everybody's not always open to having that extra set of eyes to kind of look and say, "Not yet, sunshine. Not yet, young man." Yeah. And they get upset, and then they do the things on their own and things of that sort. So I guess that's was my question, speaking to like having that outsider kind of say, "I get from God, you hear from God," but it doesn't always mean that's the right time too. But when you hear from God, I hear from God, and it is the right time, that's even better because you could go forth and do whatever it is that you're doing.
Yes, yes. And that is important.
And a spiritual leader too, Jennifer, you can't leave that. A spiritual leader should always be in a marriage because they can say things that nobody else can.
Yeah.
They can discern things that nobody else can. So this is why it's important, those that worship together.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is good right here, because what happens is I've seen or experienced or heard rather, a spiritual leader says something and we feel like they don't want us to live. They don't want us to be this. They don't want us to be. And it's that part of, it's not about you. It's really, they're seeing something different. That's the joy of having a mentor. They've gone down the road already. They can say, no, you probably shouldn't invest in that. No, you shouldn't do this. They have some wisdom. And if we call them our leader, we believe all the other words that's coming out of their mouths. Why can't we believe those things when they're trying to really care for our life?
The key is what you just said. We call you our leader. So once you already discern that, your ears need to be wide open because you have a discernment of spirit too. All right now.
Yeah. The pastor can say, you're going to live and not die. You're going to declare the word of God. You're going to come into some money. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. But that man you with, ain't it? What? Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, but you received everything else they said. We got to be careful with that.
Yes.
We got to be careful with that.
Yes.
Now we got to be careful with that. And I do understand. I have talked with some people where I know that sometimes people, not necessarily like your pastor and things, but other people that you look up to can talk to you from a place of hurt because maybe they've been through some things and it didn't work out. So they're like, no, you shouldn't do that. But they're talking from their part. But that's the most important part of going back to your leader. Because those other people, yes, it's nice to hear them, but we talk about that trust and that communication. And sometimes you letting those people in and they don't mean you as well as you think they do.
Right. You are so right.
So, dude, this is good. So, how would you define love?
I define it putting the other one first. You have to put their wants and their needs ahead of yours. If you can't do that, then the love's not there.
And I agree with that. And the caring for someone in spite of and just because, showing that agape love, along with the philo love, to your spouse is important.
So in that, when in the beginning, phase, because it's still adjustment when you come together, love each other, get married, honeymoon, let's do that day, you're happy and things and stuff. But then you're like, oh, wait, that rubbed me the wrong way. How did you survive your not so great days to get you to where you are today? So you talk about picking battles and things that start, but that might not have been it on let's say day 7, the honeymoon lasts a couple of days. Day 7, day 10, day 25, I'm random numbers and things. How did, you survive those days to say, no, I'm in it for the long haul? What was that process like?
Jennifer, prayer, because there were so many times I know for me, how you've heard that adage, too good to be true. And I was like, well, God, but early, even before we got married, I had an experience, a spiritual experience where I heard the voice of God, and he said, just trust me. And those words have carried me, and I share it with others. Just trust him. And there were times, we've had times when I thought, oh, wait a minute now. I prayed, God, are you sure it's me? Said my whole name to him, times. But, I heard that voice say, just trust me. And, I'm thankful. I feel that my husband feels, the Bible says the man should be the head of the household, that you should submit. And, I've been in lots of little conferences and sessions. That is if your husband is taking his rightful place. And, we both were very independent. We both had our homes, our jobs and now we brought this together. And when you've been a woman that's been independent, it's sometimes hard to relinquish some of the things that you've been in control of. But when he could show me that, he was taking care of his, and, when I would say, well, what is, the electric bill, or even ask him a question about cable, and do you need, and he would tell me, when I need, I will let you know, and then he showed me how he does everything. So I would know how it's done, and that's why I was like, oh God. And, also during this is when I realized another instance, God really answers prayers. Have you ever, by yourself, like, I know for me, just taking care of everything, maybe forgetting something to do something. I'm like, oh man, Lord, if you ever send me somebody, I hope they can do this. And I'll be doggone if God didn't do it. And I think back, and the Holy Spirit had to remind me of that, but I had to let go. And it took some, when you're just so used to doing it, and letting go. And I feel, Gary takes his rightful place, and he makes sure he thinks of things for me before, he surprises me. And I'm so grateful to God, so very, very grateful to God for it. And I believe I know it's because of the God in him. And, like I said, from the beginning, he who finds a good wife finds a good thing.
Yes.
And you have to take, like we started this conversation out with the assumptions. You have we have to eliminate. We have to eliminate that. Age will allow you to eliminate that. Wisdom will allow you to eliminate that. But also, what I did to eliminate it, so things would work smoothly over the years, is don't take it for granted that the other one know where money's spent. So I would write it all down. And that's a comfort to know that you can pull out a book here in my desk and see every bill and when it was paid. See, a lot of people take that kind of stuff for granted. You shouldn't have to assume. You see what I'm saying? If you know, that opens up your heart to do other things that you might want to. You with me, Jen?
Yes.
All right, now.
Yeah, but it takes communication.
Yes.
And like I said, for us, we had been in previous, marriages. So coming in, you gain some wisdom and knowledge. And
Crystal said it's good, providing a safe place. And it's so important where, they think of, it was done because it's right here for you to see. Just that openness. It's like, I'm not hiding nothing. If I need help, I'll let you know. But then you having that trust to know, all right, I ain't going to worry about it. That first month might have went by, you was like, all right. That second month, all right. That third month, 24 years, and like, he been doing it. I ain't had to worry about nothing, and that consistency as well of knowing that he's taken care of. It's so many great nuggets of wisdom in just these little things of having that person as you said, being able to submit. She cussed. We do apologize. I can't bleep it out because people think being submissive is a cuss word. It's bad and things of that sort. But it's love too, because everybody can't be the chief at the top.
That's right.
Somebody has to take the lead. Two people driving a car.
Yeah,
you're gonna get into an accident. You have to be able to fall back because that safe place has been provided. Mm-hmm. That trust is there. You don't have to assume because you've been able to get safety from A to B to Z. Mm-hmm. Any other time, trust them now. That's good.
Yes.
Ooh, so
and it takes communicating. It really does.
Yes. Mm. Hey, Mama Wanda. She said, that's good. Consistency, yes. Mama Wanda has been married 42 years. And she was saying,
hey. Great birthday.
Yes. Oh, so good. So good. So another question. So in the 24 years of being married, these are some thoughts that I think when I reflect, is it something that you want to do? How has it been of not losing your identity? Because the two become one.
Yeah.
But there's still some things you like to do, some things you like to do. And how do you still work that out where it's you're one, but you're still uniquely you as well when need be? Because you're not with each other every day, all day. There's some things that you have to do on your own. What's that process like?
We kind of talk about it, this weekend was Mother's Day. And, I have children, and I've in the past, with my daughters, spend time with them. And, Gary is aware of that. And I need some water. My water's over there. My daughter told me to have water nearby. And I don't know if she's watching, but she told me to have the water close by because my throat would get dry.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't put it beside me. But, we talk about things, what we're going to do. And, communication, that's all I can say. There are the times, we do those individual things. And like I said to you before, you do them, your marriage is still there. It's not that you're, but it's that you're giving each other, that little bit of space, that little bit of time, there's some things that Gary likes to do, that, I don't really, I like to do it, but I let him do stuff by himself and he lets me do some stuff. And then we're together. Mm-hmm. We have that time. I had to drink some water.
So you feel like it's still a balance. It's not a problem where you're not able to do, again, yes, being mindful that you're married because you're not doing nothing crazy out there, but just some things that bring you joy that may not be something that your spouse likes to do. You still find time for those. And also work out how to do some things together when you can, sounds like.
That's what we do. That's what we do. And, but it's just communicating and, being just aware that, we are individual people and, there are things that I like that, he doesn't particularly like and things that he likes that I don't, so we have our time, our space and, we're two individual people, but we come together to become one.
Got it.
And, you respect each other. I think what's important in a relationship is respecting each other, and maintaining that respect. That I think is very important.
Yes. Keisha said, hey, family, I love this couple. I do too. They're so precious. They're so precious. What would you say is the biggest lesson you learned? If you were sharing with me, someone that may be married, somebody who may desire to be married, somebody that is married. What's the biggest lesson? We've talked about respect. We've talked about trust. We talked about communication and a problem with assumptions. What would be the summation of something that you would want somebody to walk away with, of a biggest lesson that you've learned that's been impactful to you to help you this many years?
Refer to A.
And what is referred to A? Just make sure we know.
Remember that it is more important to be happy than it is to be right. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
If I were to share with young ladies and young men that are contemplating, thinking about it, or knowing that marriage is something they would like, just remember there is no perfect person. You're not, there you're not gonna like everything they do, but you got to learn to just pick and choose your battles. Think in your mind, well, is that really worth it? And you got to be willing, if things may seem a little rocky in different areas, is it worth throwing in the whole towel? Um, and having a spiritual life, having that prayer life, having well, we had that great leader that we could talk to about things. And I think that's important. Sometimes just to have someone just to talk to, not necessarily, they don't even have to say anything back to you, but sometimes just saying stuff that you might not want to say to the other person, but you want to, and it's not even that, but it's maybe how you're feeling, but you're not sure that they're going to understand that, and I think it's good both for a man and a woman, that a male have a male, that, hey man, is this, women really do this, or, or see, I'm just grateful. I just know that God had a plan, and I'm thankful that we were a part of his plan. So if I had to leave something, I would say don't look for a perfect person. Just look for someone that you can grow with, someone that walks with you,
And don't try to convince anybody that you know everything.
Yeah, that's true.
See, a lot of people blow that out of proportion. Yeah. You don't have to come off as if you know you can know things and never have to tell them. Mm-hmm. You can just show that you know. Mm-hmm. You realize how many disagreements that would be solved if you just kept that in mind. Just show what you know. Which I think is very important. And a marriage is not going to last without that. Mm-hmm. And see, that comes with wisdom and prayer. You see, because he'll, by praying, he allows me how to speak to my wife. And that came through prayer, that you don't have to show you realize how many young people think that they have to show everything that they know, instead of, they need to show it and not have to, just come right out bluntly. Mm-hmm. I got to convince you that I know this. No, just show me that you know it.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Another part, Chris, I said earlier, let my life speak for me. That statement was really, really good. And that's in that part too. Just show. You ain't got to tell it all the time. Just show.
Just show.
Because sometimes people talk a lot.
Saying nothing.
Saying nothing.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, I could cook. I could throw down. And then you see that plate. I'm not hungry. Dear Jesus, help me to the next spot that I get to get a real meal, because I don't know what that is. But again, just show. Just show. That's good. That's good. Yes. Everybody's laughing at just refer to A. But knowing, most importantly, that it is important to be happy than right.
Yeah.
And that's good, because so many good nuggets. The importance of, knowing God and being able to see God, seek God, and hear his voice and really listen to what it is that he's saying. Trusting, because you can ask God for something and it doesn't come how you thought it was going to come.
Yeah.
Or when you thought it would come, or when you wasn't looking for it, it comes. It's like, okay, well, maybe. And then it turns out to be so amazing 24 years later. Like, that was a good decision, guys. Thank you. Thank you. So good. This was really good. I truly, truly thank you both for joining me on tonight. I hope that somebody walked away with something good. Friends, if you have a question, be sure to drop it below before I let our guests go. This was really good, though. Just so much to learn. Oh, I do have a question. Because we didn't talk about children. You both have children. What's that process like being a parent? How fun and rewarding is that of being a parent?
Well, you have to keep in mind that you're talking to two people that's on Medicare. So now that question is different for us than it would be for some of your listeners.
When you know, I know they're grown now.
We almost have to spend money to spend time with our children now because they're not here. You understand what I'm saying? It's totally different. You know what I mean? The last time I got my boys together, I had to spend almost $700 to an Eagles Cowboys football game. But I got them together and I was just as tickled as I could be.
Yes. Oh goodness. Okay, so let's go back down memory lane. What was that experience like? Having children, things, being a parent. Like day one, but now to see where they are now and the amazing things that they're doing. What has that process been like of being a parent?
That's what we pray for.
Oh yeah.
That they grow up to be able to take care of themselves. Yeah. Responsible.
And we enjoy them. Following their journeys. And, we may not agree with everything, but, we're truly blessed. I think we have 6 wonderful children that each one is different. The good part, we talk to them, if not every day, every other day, just randomly, and they look out for us. It's really gratifying to see their journey and most of all their walk with God and what he's doing in their life. We try to be an example for them, that what we talk, they actually see it, and our faith, and it's hadn't always been there. But we thank God. We just thank God. Much prayer, and talking, and just knowing that we're here for them. Yeah. They know that we're here, and they do, let us know. They know that we're here for them.
Yeah. I'm reminded, being that you asked that question, on the first vacation that we took as a family when the boys were like 7 or 8 or 8 and 9 years old. And during this time in their school year, we had it so that they were earning, monies for report cards and for chores being done and birthdays. So all of these allowances and rewards, they were saving up for a Disney trip that we took them on. And by the time that we took the Disney trip, they were 8 and 9. By the time we took the trip, each one of them had over $100 saved up that they were to spend any way that they wanted to. Now, I'm saying all of that to say this. What touched my heart was when my youngest, Wayne, he came to me at 8 years old and said, Dad, when he was there spending and had that $130 to spend any way he wanted in Disney, he said, now, Dad, I understand why you worked the way that you did. Because you earned so that you could do what you wanted to, with your monies. Now I've earned this, and I can do what I want. That did something, So to teach that to a 7, 8, 9-year-old, and he's been to college and got a degree and working in his field now. But it's just something for him to have that in his mind, that he understood. You work, so you have.
And that's a topic that could go a little further, because people forget that, working pays off in more ways than one.
Yes.
When you live lavish, you got to work a little bit, and you got to save it, because you can't just spend it any kind of way.
But I can
important for that young one to learn that at that age, because it takes them even further than just that day. Because they've been paying attention to what you've been showing. You don't have to say it, you showed it. And they picked up the pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody may need to hear this too. My oldest was not in my household, my oldest son. I can recall him telling me when he was a teenager, he said that, Dad, you purchased everything that I needed. You gave me what my heart's desired, but I would have gave it all up to have you at a wrestling match at my high school. I'm saying that to say this. Sometimes we can put ourselves in a position where we're working and we're doing this. I know this might sound like I'm contradicting what I just said, but this is just as important, that I was working to where I wasn't there to get him on the weekends. This meant something to him, more than money, to where he would have gave that up just to have me there. So that's somebody may need to hear that.
Yes.
Because that's a blow right there. That's something for the heart to know that it's good to be able to give your children something, but make sure you give them you first.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'll never forget. You never forget. You never forget.
Yeah. That is so true. And, Gary mentioned that, and I just will share with this in my situation, having mine, my children tend to share with me, and especially the girls, how much with their children they see themselves like me. Mom, when they can look back and see the things that I did and how they now, things that they do, and how they remember, me working multiple jobs, 3 jobs, but yet still being able to make PTA meetings and still be able to pick them up after school, even forgetting to get them and get all the way home and have to go all the way back. See, we ain't had cell phones and all that kind of stuff then, but, just to let you know, children do pay attention. So it's really important, the life that you live in front of them, that they see, that they can tend to model themselves, after you. So it's important to, just be aware that someone is watching, someone, just like I was in church, didn't know it was watching.
Didn't know he was watching. Somebody's watching.
Somebody's watching.
This is like, I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I'm teasing a little bit because Gary's a musician. And I always admired you because you remind me of my mom. When you are a musician at church, sometimes your experience is like none other as a musician for different reasons. I'll put it that way. But the consistency that you have and the tenacity that you have, the resiliency that you have to continue to make sure that everything is as it should be, commendable. Commendable.
I thank you for that. I thank you for that.
Commendable. Everybody does it different. It's okay. We all supposed to do things different.
That's right.
But it doesn't mean that you're different is not valuable, So be encouraged. Stay encouraged. Stay encouraged. Yes, this was good. Crystal said this was great. Awesome job, Mr. Marie and Mr. Gary. Have a good night past my bedtime.
Thank you for staying up, Crystal.
Yes. She's probably asleep. If not yet, she's there. She said it great. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was so good. I can't wait to watch this again. To glean from the wisdom and things, Esther, that seeking God is important. And if you believe in God, you want somebody that believes in God too.
Yeah.
Because it makes such a world of difference.
It does.
If you believe in God and you hear his voice and they don't believe in God and they don't hear his voice, it's going to be a battle sometimes. Like, God can tell you that. No, I ain't talk to him. What you talking about? What'd he say? No, I want to do that. It's the difference. It's a difference.
You're quoting scripture now, unequally yoked. You know what it says.
Yep. And I be trying not to be like, always be Bible told with the people, but that's what it is, friends. And it's possible for you both to be saved and still be unequally yoked, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, that is.
But it's so important. And again, in this month, I really reflect on life, and because I am a church girl, I do believe God. I want them to believe God too. I need them to be able to hear God when I don't want to hear what He's telling me either. To be like, no, but God said, I know He told me to. I don't want to hear that, because sometimes I don't want to hear what He say or how He say it. Like, do what? Jesus. My conversation, my relationship, this is how we talk. He knows me. He loves me, and still chooses to use me. Bless my heart. Because He's making me and molding me to be what He wants me to be. And sometimes it's not always easy. He tell you to do something, you be like, will they receive it well? Even Jen cares like doing this. You hope that it is received well. And sometimes it is. Actually, most times it is. And I'm truly grateful. I, hold that to Jesus, because He allows me to be able to share so many people's stories with others, to be able to encourage us and help us as we grow. It's rewarding for you, but it's also rewarding for me. Like, I got some this tonight. Again, I'm definitely going to watch this again, not just because I do a rewind, but I also watch it again to really take in the notes and things of that sort. I jot down some notes while we talking and things, but I take some more notes of things to really apply to my life, specifically this month, as I'm really evaluating my life. What's the next steps, what it looks like. But the first thing I'm going to do is seek God.
There you go.
What is it that you want me to do? Am I doing right? What else I need to do? And if He say wait, guess what, friends? I got to wait. I don't always want to hear that, but I'd rather wait. Get myself in a bowl of soup that I can't get myself out of. So this was so good. Keisha said, I appreciate you both. You just don't know how much I love you too. Oh, some more love.
Yeah, we love you, Miss Keisha, and we missed you.
I'm not going to record nothing and say I'm to do something that I don't do it. Not going to get me into storytelling, but I'm going to work something out. I thank you both so very much for joining me on tonight. I'm overwhelmed with love tonight. This was great. So good. Anything else you want to share before you go? Or you good? Let me know.
Well, I think we're good, but we want to thank you for just considering us, little old us.
Oh.
And we hope that something we've said, will help somebody,
Well, I'll be the witness to let you know it helped me. Okay. Because again, that communication is always big, but we want to remember about that trust. We want to remember more important to be happy than to be right, because we're going to refer to a. Thank you again so much, man. Y'all have a great evening.
And the same to you.
We
love you.
Love you.
All right.
You take care.
Yes, thank you. That was so amazing. Tonight we had Gary and Anna Warren. Yo, they are so sweet. Such a sweet couple. I mean, if you meet them in real life, well, you did meet them in real life technically. But really, they really are so sweet. Like the love, the care, concern that they have for others, how they want to help somebody else. Truly appreciate it. Not many people that want to do that all the time, but genuine, true, good, loving people. And Sister Anne, she got one of them hugs. She got a good hug for you too. If you just need that love, she got it for you. Thank you so much to them for joining us. Don't forget our quote of the day. Assumptions are the termites of relationships. Friends, don't assume, because we know what they say about assume. If you don't know, send me a message. I'll let you know what it say. We don't want to do that though, because we don't want to mess things up. Ask the question, find out what's going on so that you know. Friends, don't forget this weekend we are having a day of empowerment. Friends, it's going to be great. I hope that you trust me to know that I'm going to do something that's good. And I promise we got some good speakers that are coming. They are so excited. They've been reaching out. I won't lie. I had been discouraged because ticket sales was going slow, and I have planted this seed, and I need some people to come and water it and to benefit from it. So if you're able to, come on and come. Tickets are $40. You can go to our website, chosencounselors.com. If you want to come, but you can't afford it, it's not in your budget, send me a message, because that's what it's about. We want you to be empowered. It's going to be good. So check out that flyer to find out more. I've been posting it. So, hey, if you want to come, let me know. Also want to tell you, next week we won't be here. Why? It's my birthday. It's my birthday. 39 is loaded, and I am so excited. So I won't be here next week, but the week after, please join us as we will have Dr. Tasha Wilson for Shatterproof. Yo, again, all month long, I reflect and think on my life and how I want to change things, how I want to make things better, how I want to do more of some things. Self-care is so important. So be sure to join us on, what day is that? The 23rd. So again, next Monday, we're not here because of my birthday. I'm take off. I'm enjoy that day. I'm actually enjoy that week. I'm trying not to be on social media at all. I just want to enjoy that week of me. You know, got to take a pause for you sometimes. But join us on the 23rd as we will have Dr. Tasha Wilson. It's going to be good. I told you the quote of the day. I told you about the day of empowerment. Friends, if you can come, please come. God bless. Love you all for real. Until next time, can you help a sister out? The sister is me. Love you for
real. Friends, we thank you for joining Jen Cares this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unable to watch us live? Be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, chosencounselors.com. That's chosen with a Z, so that you can stay in the know and most of all, never miss a show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you sharing it with a friend. Most of all, be sure to tune in for our next episode next Monday at 8 p.m. right here as we specialize in bringing the community to you.